Hey everyone, you're listening to the Simple Electronics Podcast. I'm your host, Dan, from the Simple Electronics YouTube channel. This episode is brought to you by PCBWay, but more about them a little bit later on. Right now, I am joined by absolutely nobody special. Yeah, it's just me again. I've been really busy finishing up the tire season here in Canada, which is fine because I'm earning, while this season is running, I'm earning a little bit more because I have more hours, which is good. I've also been doing a whole bunch of workshops for high school students at the college. So again, not complaining about the extra hours there, but it's nice to have a seat and have a chat with you folks once again, especially this time of year. So I'm recording this on November 19th, and that means that we are getting ever so close to Black Friday. In fact, a lot of the Black Friday sales that I'm seeing are actually starting on the 22nd. And that's kind of where I want to get started. So those of you who like electronics and cheap electronics, because that's pretty much what the demographic is here, I want to let you guys know that AliExpress is having, one of their better sales. I mean, they keep saying it's the best sales of the year, but with AliExpress, the prices are always fluctuating up and down. You can't really, believe them when they say that this is the best that's ever going to get or whatever. However, what I can tell you when you are shopping on AliExpress is that if you look long enough, you'll probably find a seller that has the item that you want at a rock bottom price, sort of like any time of the year. There's a couple exceptions to that, stuff like Voron kits, which I've been following the price on for a very long time. They're kind of staying the same. There's only like two or three vendors that sell the Voron kits. That's the component kits, and they pretty much all have the same rough prices. So that's not something that's going to get any better with store coupons. But what a sale like Black Friday does is that AliExpress then puts a coupon on top of all the deals that you're going to get from the sellers. I actually wrote them down here in US dollars because a lot of my audience is from the US. So here's the example. If you spend $19, you get $3 off. If you spend $39, you get $6 off. If you spend $89, you get $12 off. If you spend $139, you get $20 off. $209 gets you $30. $399 gets you $60, and $499 gives you $80. So you have to do the math a little bit on that as to how much you're actually saving percentage-wise. But again, this has nothing to do with the sellers. So if you find a seller that is selling something, at the rock bottom price, like the cheapest that you've ever seen it or whatever, sometimes there's extra discounts because it's Black Friday, but sometimes not. Well, you put everything you want in your cart, and then depending on how much you spent, you get an extra discount. So if I'm looking at the $89 price point, you get $12 off. That is a reasonable amount. That's more than 15%. Let's see. Oh, turns out my visual math wasn't great. It's just over 13%. So you get just over 13% off of the already low prices from AliExpress. So make sure you put everything you kind of want into your cart, and then in the checkout, you'll have to add the coupon codes. But I think the coupon codes are pretty simple. Like whatever the dollars amount off, I think the code is 24, so as in 2024, so 24 BF, and then the dollar amount. So for the $12 off, it would be 24 BF 12. And of course, since I am bringing you this information, I've been looking for Black Friday deals as well. I would encourage you to go to whatever creator you like. I mean, I wouldn't say no if you used my links, and go use their affiliate links to do your shopping. The tiny amounts of profit that we make a big difference if a whole bunch of people use our codes. I know throughout the year I probably earned about $170 US or something like that, which is crazy because if you think most products that are purchased on AliExpress are under $5, right? So I'm getting like 10 cents at a time as far as commissions are concerned. So I do see, I don't see who sets the orders, but I do see what is ordered and what is ordered at the same time. So I do know that there are a couple of you, maybe 3 or 4 of you, that are ordering, 20 items at a time. And for those of you, you're probably completely anonymous, but thank you very much because it makes a big difference. But yeah, I see a whole bunch of purchases come through. It doesn't tell me who you are. It doesn't tell me where it's shipping to. But I really do appreciate you guys doing that with my discount code, or with my affiliate links, I should say, to AliExpress and Amazon. Amazon is phenomenal for paying creators as well. Now, I also wanted to take the time to tell you to take advantage of this sale, especially if you're an American, because according to Market Watch, there's an article I've been reading. It seems to be anything sort of electronic related. It seems like there could be up to 60% tariffs. It seems, depending on the source, it says that it will be a flat 60% tariff I'm reading. So essentially, all the prices of your AliExpress stuff will be stopped at the border, and you'll have to pay 60% of its value. Probably there might be some system to capture it before it leaves AliExpress. Like AliExpress may have to prepay that stuff, so you might have to prepay it in the cart. So I would urge you that if you've been holding off on making a couple large purchases from China, it's probably the time to do it now, because it does seem like those tariffs will come into effect. At the very least, I saw a minimum of 10 to 20%, but what I'm seeing on most articles is roughly 60% tariffs. So that's going to be pretty brutal. And as someone who lives in Canada, whenever I order something from the States, which has origin, the origin was in China, I have to pay border fees, customs fees for that, because there are tariffs, I suppose, as well, into Canada. So if it comes from the States, it's different than if it comes straight from China. So if it's a product manufactured in China, going from US to Canada, I typically have to pay, a border fee on that. And those border fees suck, because in order to calculate how much the fee should be, how much the taxes should be, or whatever it is, they charge a brokerage fee. And that brokerage fee is usually somewhere like $20 to $30 American. And then I have to pay whatever the border fees are. So as someone who knows how much these things typically suck, I would strongly recommend you guys to do your ordering now. Order a little bit in advance, try to predict what you're going to need this year for your projects, for your stuff, and order it now, because at the very least there will be like a 10 to 20% tariff, and it could go up to 60%. I'm seeing 60% on some sources. So it is what it is. And that comes directly out of the purchaser's pocket. That's for you to pay. It is what it is. As for stuff on Amazon, I do urge you to be very careful when doing your Black Friday sale shopping on Amazon, and use a tool. Use a tool to figure out if the prices have been climbing in anticipation for the Black Friday sale. This happens all the time. Prices fluctuate all the time on Amazon. It's such a massive marketplace that it's really hard to track everything. But there is a site And again, this is not sponsored. This is just the tools I use. If you're in Canada, a great site to use to track prices is ca.camelcamelcamel.com. If you're in the US, just camelcamelcamel.com. And yes, it does sound very weird, but what you do is you go on Amazon, find the product that, is on sale or whatever, and you copy the URL. You go over to Camel, and you paste the URL in that website, and they will tell you the historical data for that price. So you'll be able to see in graph form how what the fluctuations have been for all for the brand new Amazon listing, for the brand new third-party listings, and for the used listings. So you get to see what it's worth. It also tells you historical highs and historical lows. And you can also set pricing alerts. I think Camel should be paying me for this because it is such a great service. I do praise it for free. But essentially, the only cost to you is that if you're doing your shopping through an affiliate, like say you use my link to go to Amazon, and then you want to check the price, you use Camel. They strip my affiliate link out and they use their own affiliate. So they make their money off affiliate marketing, same as I do, except they provide a really good service. So, I mean, it is what it is. If you prefer to track the prices than to support the creators, there's no judgment from me. You go ahead and you do what you need to do. But yeah, Camel is a fantastic resource. So having a look around my shop and trying to determine what I'm going to order for Black Friday is actually quite difficult. I'm at a situation where this year I ordered my Voron V0, which is fully built. I still got to make a video about it, which was a phenomenal build. It was great fun. I did the build over on the live streaming channel. If you want to check the description for the link to the live streaming channel, I think it was 6 4-hour chunks. So it took quite a long time to build, but in the end, it's like building Lego, more complicated Lego, and then you get a functional machine out of it. I actually love that Voron V0. It works great, but I still haven't tuned it in. I still haven't dialed it in. I've just been using it as is, and it's been working pretty damn good. If I can get, some advanced tuning done, like try to figure out, how to get the stringing down a little bit, how to get the speed up, how to get the gyro working, because there's a gyro on it to do vibration analysis to compensate for that. I just haven't got it tuned in yet, haven't got it working yet. It's just been working. I just send a print file to it and it just does its thing, and it goes. And it's tiny. The build plate is, I think it's 150 mils or maybe 110 mils. I don't know. Very small. 110 millimeters by 110 millimeters, something like that. It's like under 5 inches in both in two directions, and then it's a little bit more in the Z direction. So I've got that. This year I also upgraded my camera. I have the D780. Oh my God. I don't actually remember what camera I bought. It's been a while since I've looked at it because I've been busy. So those two things are a no. I have really been thinking about getting the Voron 2.4 simply because I'd like a larger 3D printer, and the process of building the Voron V0 was amazing. I mean, it was frustrating at times, but overall it was really amazing. I love building things, and I love building things in a way that I get something out of it in the end. Like it's sitting on my desk. It does work. So I came really close to buying a 2.4 during Amazon's last sale, which was the 11/11 sale, which they again called the biggest sale of the year. Well, whatever. I'm AliExpress. You do you. I don't put too much stock in what vendors say about their own sales, but it did come close. The only thing is, it is $1,500, $1,500 for the 350 mil by 350 mil by 350 mil size. And so that is a big purchase. I mean, I think I paid just about the same for my Volvo at the moment, my Volvo V50 wagon, used obviously, but it's a big decision, right? And if you're listening at home, why would you pay that much for a 3D printer? Well, it's different because I get to claim some of it on my taxes. So it's kind of like it's a business expense. It's not quite one for one. It's not the same as um, a personal purchase, because I'm going to get content out of it. And plus, I personally really love mechanical things. I love working on things. And I really love doing live streams. So that'll keep me busy for sure. At least 30 hours of live streaming. So that's going to be nice. So it's going to be fun all the way around. And the reason why I love these 3D printers is because I want to do big projects. I want to do big projects that use ABS material. And ABS material needs a closed off 3D printer, yada, yada, yada. So the reason I didn't pull the trigger is, for one reason, it's $1,500. And for the other reason is that Bamboo Labs, this is Canadian money, by the way. Bamboo Labs has something very similar. They have the X1C, X1 Carbon, I guess is what it's called. And if I'm looking at the Canadian price, it is $1,300 Canadian. So it's roughly the same price, but the build volume is much smaller. So I had a really hard time, do I go Voron 2.4, which is a phenomenal big open source printer, or do I go X1C, which is a phenomenal smaller closed source printer? So I save some money, but it goes from open source to closed source. I also lose the experience of building it. You can't really build a Bamboo Lab. In fact, a lot of it is really locked down. A lot of the parts are proprietary. There are some, I see there's some Chinese equivalent parts that you can sort of swap in, but it's not the same. And you don't have control over the software, over the firmware. There are hacked firmwares, but only for older versions of the firmware. And it doesn't give you full control, and you lose warranty and whatever. Also, the X1C requires an internet connection. I mean, I think requires is a big word. I don't know if it's required, but it's definitely, you lose functionality if you're not connected to the internet. And that kind of bothers me. So I'm constantly going between those two. However, now I see that Sovol, S-O-V-O-L, they have released their SV08. I mean, they released it a little bit ago, but now I can actually get my hands on it. So here's the compelling part. It's on sale right now. It's not quite Black Friday yet, but it's on sale for like $750. This is a 350 millimeter by 350 millimeter by 340 or something. So it's almost exactly the same size as the big Voron that I want to get, except it's open. It's not enclosed. However, I can make some DIY enclosures, like I can use foam board to close it off and whatever. So it's not lost. But it's $750. And it's based off the Voron 2.4 design. Not quite the same, but it's based upon it. And from what I'm seeing, it works, just as well or better in some cases as the Voron, and you barely have to build it. So I lose that build, right? But I do get the large printing volume, and I can enclose the whole thing and make it into an ABS capable machine. So there's that. So now I'm going back and forth, like literally can get two of these Sovol SV08s for the price of one Voron. Not that I would get two, but I could get two. And to make matters even worse, on the day of the filming right now, I looked up the reviews for the Sovol SV08, and I watched Maker's Muse, and I watched another review. And then what video comes recommended to me? There's a video by Prusa. And Prusa just announced today, or maybe it's just the video's released today, but I'm just hearing it for the first time today. So to me, they announced it today. They have the Prusa Core 1. So it's a Core XY like all the other machines. So it's very fast, very capable, but it's made by Prusa. So it's going to be super reliable, super supported. They have their own, phenomenal software compared to the alternatives. And this thing is going to be, I think they're saying shipping in January, and that's $1,200 USD. So that's not cheap. That's like $1,650 Canadian, but within range of the Voron, right? Like it's not quite a Voron, but it's within range. And so now I'm like, oh man, my decision's even harder because yes, it's a smaller build volume, but I don't think neither the Voron 2.4 or the Bambu Labs X1C or the Sovol SV08 will come even close to the quality of the Prusa. So now, my decision is, do I get price? Do I get proven? Do I get a kit which I get to build? Or do I get the up market version, which is the Core 1? So I've got like 4 things in front of me that I have to balance. And all of this just because I love 3D printers themselves. I love the machines. I love tinkering with them. And then also I get to do projects with them. I've got one large build volume printer here. Elegoo had sent me their Neptune 4 Max, the biggest one they have. And that just feels like a very basic machine that's been scaled up. It's not really something I would recommend to people unless they specifically just wanted a massive machine. Because just now, like the Y rollers are eating them. They're just eating themselves up. They're like getting chewed up by their own V rails. So it's not really something I want, especially if I'm going to be spending, $1,000 on a machine, like either the Sovol or any of the X1C, the Prusa, or the Voron. So I'm here with a really difficult sort of choice to make. Like, what do I get? I think for the moment, the decision is to get nothing, because when I can't decide, I just stall and do nothing. So that's completely fine. But what would you pick if you wanted a reasonably large, reasonably fast, and reasonably good working 3D printer? Would you get the Bambu Lab? Would you get the Sovol? Would you get the Voron? Or would you get the Prusa? I know personally, I know people, throughout the spectrum that I've talked to online, and I bet you, I'd have probably I'd probably get an equal distribution of choices from, all the people I talk to normally. So you guys let me know in the comments what you guys think. Which one would you get? So yeah, I guess that brings me back around to, I really don't know what I want for my workshop. I kind of already have everything that I need. So, I can make videos whenever, except for time. Can't really buy time, sadly. But what do I want? Well, everything is kind of like big ticket items. And like one thing that I would really love, because it would help my video making process and as well would be really good to have, would be a trinocular microscope. But looking quickly on AliExpress, the only discounts I'm going to get for Black Friday is essentially that big store coupon, or the AliExpress sort of site-wide coupon, if you will, because it seems like the sellers are discounting their, $500 to $600 trinocular microscopes by like $20. And then, because they're $600, I'm going to save, another, $60 or something. So It's not like really worth it to specifically buy it during Black Friday sale unless I see a really good deal when the day comes and, and I'm browsing. So that would be great, but again, not essential. I am getting close to needing a computer upgrade. My processor is now aging quite a bit. I have a Intel i7 8086K. I'll just check the release date here, but it's I got it as I actually won a competition, a raffle. Intel sent me one of these when they released them in June 2018. They celebrated the release of the 8086K by giving away 8,086 of them, and I was one of the winners. So essentially, I've had this same processor in this computer since 2018, and I'm sort of due for an upgrade, but nothing in the computer market really excites me. I mean, AMD Ryzen 9000 would be where I would go, but the prices are still quite high. And since my processor is still functional for now, I'm not going to upgrade it at the moment until a really good deal comes along. So that's out of the question as well. I've got all the test gear I can muster. I would really love to do comparisons for that fancy Unity test gear with, similar test gear from other manufacturers, but they're just not willing to send any. So yeah, I don't know what I want. So I guess if you guys are shopping for something very specific, let me know in the comments or in the in the comments section of either the YouTube video or the audio version of the podcast, because I'd really like to know what you guys are buying, what you're into, because I'm basically out of ideas. Now, it's not a bad thing because it does mean I don't have to spend as much money, but I am the kind of person who sort of wants to get ahead of things, buy things before it becomes a commodity and, have a play with them before. So yeah, let me know in the comments. And this is as good a time as any to just take a quick pause from the podcast to talk about the sponsor of today's episode, PCBWay. Now, PCBWay is a fantastic place to get PCBs made. So if you have a circuit that you've designed or a circuit that you have found on the internet and you want to make it more compact, easier to handle, just go over to PCBWay.com or using the link in the description and go upload your Gerber files or the Gerber files you have found online. And you can get 10 PCBs up to 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters for $5 US plus shipping and handling. And if you choose the slow shipping and handling, it's actually very affordable. And if you choose the fast shipping and handling, I usually get my boards, I think it's somewhere like 4 to 5 days from order to receive at the door. So it's very quick, especially if you take the green solder mask and just regular stuff. If you're not into PCBs, or if you have other projects in mind and you don't have a 3D printer, for example, PCBWay does 3D printing. They do CNC machining. They do sheet metal work. They do PCB assembly. They kind of do it all. So no matter what you're into, head over to PCBWay.com and take a look at what they have to offer. I especially encourage you to do so because PCBWay supports a lot of makers on YouTube and all sorts of social medias. They also sponsor hacker and maker type events. They are spending a lot of money in our community, so it'd be really nice to spend a couple bucks their way. Check them out in the link in the description. All right, that being said, I'd like to talk about community. Now, community is super important for small niches like us. For example, the maker community overall is a pretty small niche. It kind of encompasses everybody who sort of puts their point of view on things, everybody who makes stuff. So that's a small niche. But then you've got us, the electronics enthusiasts, which are a small niche inside of that small niche. So basically, we're tiny in here. And I think the fact that we have a community is very important. That being said, there's not a good spot for us to congregate. Pretty much all the YouTubers have a Discord, a personal Discord that goes along with their channel and their brand that you can join, and you can have conversations with like-minded people. And that's great, but these are all fragmented communities. Like, for example, Brian Locke has a Discord, and so does BitLooney, and so does Sion, the Unexpected Maker, and so does, etc., all down the line. Even Big Clive has his own Discord. But those are all like self-contained, segregated sort of zones where electronics enthusiasts get together. There's the EEV blog forums, which is not even a Discord. So it's kind of all scattered. And what's been happening with Twitter lately is that Twitter has become a cesspool. It's been filled with spam and porn bots. It's been absolutely filled with all sorts of basically misogynist and anti-Semitist and all sorts of weird takes, like very strong political takes, especially leaning to one side of the spectrum. And I'll let you decide what side that is, on your own. And so it's time to pull the plug on Twitter. I decided, I made a Twitter account a long time ago because as a YouTuber, if your YouTube channel gets removed, like deleted off of YouTube, your only recourse is to go onto Twitter and tweet at Team YouTube, because they expect you to go onto the sort of like to go into your Google account and sign into there, and then use the help features in there to chat with a person. Usually it's automated. You don't actually talk with an actual person, open a ticket, etc. Except when your channel gets deleted, your entire Google account gets deleted. So you can't sign into your Google account in order to open a ticket saying that you were wrongfully terminated, or, looking for the reasons you were terminated, etc. Everything you have built is lost. And on top of that, your AdSense account, if that's the way you make your living, is tied to your YouTube account or to your Google account. And so that goes away as well. And if you have any outstanding payments, you're not getting them. It's that simple. So I made a Twitter just so I can, if that eventually happens, because it seems to happen at random, I can just tweet at Team YouTube and see what's going on. Well, it's over. Twitter is a cesspool. So where do we go from here? Well, maybe 6 months ago, maybe a year ago, I don't know, time passes by so quickly these days, I made an account on Blue Sky. So Blue Sky is like an alternative platform. I think it's actually from the original creator of Twitter that sold it to the Muskrat. I'm not 100% sure about that, but regardless, I made a Blue Sky account. And Blue Sky was small at the time. I mean, it was growing, but it was small at the time. But now it seems like there's been a massive exodus from Twitter. Everybody has, or not, I wouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people have left and joined Blue Sky. And so then I entered Blue Sky and I was trying to figure out ways to connect with people, but it's kind of hard because don't forget, we are a niche within a niche. Well, there's a creator called Arturo182. Probably seen him on social media if you have anything to do with our niche. Founder of the Solder Party. I'm going to go into this a little bit more in details shortly. But regardless, I kept seeing him everywhere before in various Discords. And he set up what's called a starter pack. So if you find his tag, so it's at arturo182.bsky.social. I'll link it in the show notes. You go to his Blue Sky. I don't know what it's called, his profile. And then you have the options, post, replies, media, same thing as Twitter had. But you keep going, and there's a little section called starter packs. And he's actually put together starter packs. And what starter packs are is that you can click the starter packs. So he's got electronics/makers starter packs. So you click that, and then you can just click to follow all. Actually, he has 2 electronics/makers starter packs. And so you can go on both and follow everybody there. And so Blue Sky has this interesting feature that you can just hop onto the website right off the bat and find a starter pack and then click it, and you're following everybody. So now all of a sudden your feed is like 90% electronics, because obviously there's likes from outside of electronics. Again, we're a small niche, but it's like 90% there. Arturo also put together another starter pack for companies, organizations, news, and whatever electronics related. And I went and followed those. So it's kind of cool that Blue Sky lets you join just a community that you want to join. You don't have to be, on Twitter, there was like a paid premium subscription where your replies float to the top and your posts float to the top. And so now it's not, your feed's not just filled with propaganda. It's actually just, connecting you with other creators, other makers, other electronics enthusiasts, other whatever you're into. On top of that, instead of just having like a home feed and a discovery feed and a friends feed, you can actually have custom feeds. So, for example, I joined the science feed, I joined the astronomy feed, and I joined the electronics feed. And so that means that if I feel like in a sciencey mood, I can just hit science and I'll see all the science creators and what they've been posting. So that's really cool. It really allows me to focus more in on the stuff that I'm really interested in, instead of like doom scrolling, news articles of the day and whatever. It's a really good feature. So essentially from now on, I'm not checking Twitter. I'm going to keep it active. I'm going to keep my account active unless it gets deleted for inactivity or whatever, just in case I need to reach out to Team YouTube, obviously. But other than that, if you need to DM me, message me for whatever reason, if you want to follow my posts or whatever it is, just Simple Electronics at bsky.social, and that's the way we're going to do it. I'm not interested in going on Twitter anymore. Every time I go on there, it's a complete cesspool. If you enjoy Twitter, good for you. But if you have, makery or electronicsy interests and you'd like me to follow you, put your Blue Sky handle in the comment section or wherever that I can see it, and I'll go and I'll follow you. And then, we can find each other. And, obviously, if you're a commenter and you want to follow some electronics people or some maker people, go into the comment section, check out people's handles, and you can follow them there. So we can make ourselves a little community away from, at least more centralized than something like a Discord where you need an invite to get into. In open source software news, it seems like yesterday, I guess today, small spoiler, I am actually recording this half of the podcast on the second. This is day 2 of recording of the podcast, so it's now November 20th. But at the start of this podcast, November 19th, seems to be the day that FreeCAD has released their 1.0 version. Now, this is really exciting. I have to say, my CAD software of choice is Fusion 360. I love Fusion 360. It just happens to work the way my brain works. Like, you put down a drawing in 2D, just by drawing it constrains it, so you don't have to sort of specify anything other than the drawing itself. And then you finish the sketch, and then you can pull it up into 3D. it works exactly how my brain works. It's like you're drawing a drawing on a piece of sketch paper, and then you grab the top of it and you pull on it and it opens it up. So Fusion has always been my go-to for CAD, but I always feel guilty because it is an expensive piece of software. It is free for startups and personal use and makers. And I guess technically on my YouTube channel, I am stretching the definition of that. I don't like that it does a lot of stuff online. I don't like that I keep having to go to their website to sign into the software and then accept whatever terms and then go to the software itself. It's just, I don't like it. Plus it limits you. You can only have 10 designs active at a time. I'm not a big fan of Fusion. I just love the way it works. I tried FreeCAD a while ago, a couple of years ago, I should say. And a simple part, I think it was like a rectangle part with a couple of fillets, a couple of holes in it. It took me about 4 times the amount of time as Fusion did. And when it came to a part where I needed to segment it or something like that, I don't remember what I had to do, but I had to modify the solid in a way that takes essentially 2 clicks in Fusion 360. The part broke. It told me I couldn't do that. I had to go back and I don't know. It was horrible. It was a really bad experience. FreeCAD, however, when I had posted about this, FreeCAD actually replied to my comment. And I think I posted something on Twitter about it, and FreeCAD replied to me. Like, they are active on social media. And they said, well, why don't you tell your problem in our forums? Why don't you come to our forums and talk about your problem? We'd love to get stuff fixed. And I was like, huh. So it seems like they have a good team. It seems like they want to fix things and want to make things better. This shows a lot of promise. Well, now FreeCAD 1.0 just released, obviously still free. And it just seems like they fixed a whole bunch of stuff. First of all, there's a video that I'll link in the description below, and it's on YouTube, and they show a little bit of, people using it, demos of using it. And the first thing is it looks a heck of a lot like Fusion 360. So it seems like they took the sort of the basic starting point that Fusion 360 uses, and they implemented it in FreeCAD. I cannot tell you how excited I am to give it a shot. Now, obviously, I'm going to hold my judgment until after I've used it for a little bit, because it could still not work with the way my brain works. Like, I'm not saying that the way FreeCAD was when I tried it was wrong. I just think it was not the right match for me. And I'm totally accepting if the problem is between my own 2 ears and, everyone else is fine with it. I'm good with that. I'm not saying they need to change for me. But what I am saying is that if this video is accurate to the experience, I am so excited. I think free and open source software is the way to go. If I was a coder, if I could do things, if I was decent at writing code, I would go and donate time to free and open source software. Stuff like KiCad, which is absolutely amazing. It's such a powerful PCB design piece of software, and it's free and open source. And now with FreeCAD, taking up the reins of the CAD side. I know there's OpenSCAD, but that's like programmatic stuff. It's more like writing a coding language, which we've already determined I have issues with. But the fact that there's some 3D CAD software similar to Fusion that is completely free, I couldn't be more excited. So I can't wait to give it a shot. Let me know if you guys have already tried it, because I'd be curious to know your opinions on it. And on the subject of open source software, I have a little bit of a gripe with the way that current software plans are going. And yeah, plans is part of the word. So let me give you an example. Dustin Watts, when he was on the podcast, he actually sent me a link to an Adobe service that you can use for free, but it's kind of a little limited. But essentially what it does is it uses AI to fix audio problems. And since you're listening to an audio-based podcast, those kinds of things are really important to me. So I went on to the website, and it's a little limited. Like, you can only upload 30-minute clips, I think, or 20-minute clips. I don't remember. And you are limited to a certain amount of time per day. But they have a premium service, which I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was $200 Canadian a month. But there's a year, I should say. And it was, it had a free month trial. So I signed up for the trial, and then I used it, and it works phenomenally. It works so incredibly well. I was very impressed. And so I thank Dustin so much, and I planned on using it, and I'll probably end up buying a year subscription of it and using it for the podcast and running through my videos. It's an interesting thing where you upload the file, and then they run the AI algorithm, and then you can actually select the strength of the effect. So you can have it 100% AI, 90%, you blend it so that it sounds good, but natural. Where I record my podcast here, despite the fact that I have a sort of high-end mixer, a high-end microphone, the truth is I'm in my basement, and there's a computer to my left, there's HVAC behind me, there's stuff going on kind of everywhere. So I can't isolate the room. I can't really make it quiet. It doesn't happen here. I do like that my mixer has EQ built in, so I don't have to do EQing afterwards. But yeah, it's not an ideal setup. And on top of that, even my mixer isn't ideal because it is getting the signal into my computer by a line-in jack. So it's essentially capturing noise on the way. So I always have to denoise my podcasts, and it doesn't sound the best. But using this AI tool was phenomenal. However, a couple of years ago, probably more than 4 years ago, when essentially, I believe it was when NVIDIA had the 20 series, RTX 20 series, so, RTX 2000 something, they released software called RTX Voice. And RTX Voice essentially does what that Adobe voice stuff is doing, except it does it in real time. And it may not be as complex as what the Adobe software is doing, but it does do it, and it does do it in real time. Now, the issue with RTX Voice is that you have to do it in real time. You can't just have another section of audio and, like an audio file, and dump it in there and have it work its magic. That's not how that works. And so I actually spent quite a bit of money on a graphics card last year, the year before. It's a RTX 3070, which here in Canada cost me over $600. It was probably it was expensive. Whatever it was really expensive. And I bought it because I export video. So I need something that can process the raw video to export it, to upload it to YouTube. But it comes with that RTX segment in it that can do the audio cleaning. But I can't use that audio cleaning to clean the audio that I'm recording, like right now. Instead, I have to take that file and upload it to someone else's server, Adobe's servers, and have it treat my audio and then send it back to me. And just so you know, the bit rate that it sends it back is a lot lower than the native bit rate. Like the literal amount of data I send them is a lot more than the data they send back. So there's a little bit of a quality loss on top of that. So I'm not really happy. I want to use the hardware that I have in my computer sitting right beside me, that I paid good money for, that can do, cleaning of the of audio, but I can't do that. Instead, I have to pay something like, I don't know if it was 100 or 200, somewhere around there, Canadian dollars per year to send my audio outside of my network, wait for it to be treated, and then re-download it and bring it back to my machine. Something went a little nuts, I think. Something is wrong with the way that software is being developed, right? I have hardware right beside me, and I want to use it, but I can't use it because there's a lock on it. They want you to do live recording and not treatment of audio after the fact. So because some company decides that's not the way they want their software to work, we all have to deal with it. And, it's the same thing with Fusion 360 that I was talking about earlier. I would love to pay a one-time fee for a perpetual license of Fusion 360. I would love to say, okay, here we're in November 2024. Let me pay you $1,000. I will give you $1,000 of my money if I can run this version of Fusion 360 that's installed in my computer right now with the current bugs and features, just everything, frozen in time. I want that piece of software that I can use ad infinitum, as much as I want. But you can't do that. If you subscribe to Fusion 360, it costs you a fortune. I mean, I can check it out real quick, but I think it's like $2,000, $2,000 a year or something. Let's see. Let's check the pricing. Oh my God. This is another thing, is that they make it nebulous. Yeah, it's $1,000 a year, 915 plus tax per year. Or if I want to pay per month, it's 115. And this is Canadian. So it's ridiculous how expensive it is. They want you to keep paying for it forever. Like if I do YouTube for another 10 years, then that would be like $10,000 on software. And like, for example, a version of Photoshop that you bought, let's say Photoshop CS6 that you would have paid like $200 for, you can still be using today, 10 years later. I mean, it worked then, it still works now, but yet you have to continue to pay it in perpetuity. I'm really bothered by this trend of, A, software as a service, where you have to keep paying for it, and B, offloading tasks that can be done locally to other servers. Like even, for example, ChatGPT is crunching the data on ChatGPT's servers, but there is a local AI that runs on your graphics card in your computer, and I use it. I love it. I think it's called a GPT for All. Another maker turned me on to it, and essentially it's a piece of software, and then you go through that software and you download, models, language models, and then when you ask a question, you're addressing that model, and it crunches the numbers literally on your computer. It does it all locally. It sends nothing out to the cloud. So I love that concept. The only problem is all the latest models, like ChatGPT's 4 Omni, are hidden. They are stashed away. ChatGPT does not allow you to use their latest models. What you can do, though, is you can pay them a monthly fee. I think it's $30 or something. And then you can interface GPT for All, your software, with their model. But again, it's not done locally. It's all done in their servers. So if you, for example, have a software company and you have proprietary code, if you're asking GPT to look over the code and find deficiencies, guess what? GPT now has your code. There were problems at the beginning of ChatGPT, like early in ChatGPT's, release, where people were feeding it from like Android, for example. People who were working on literal Google Android, they were feeding it code and it was finding inefficiencies or whatever. So now, like OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, they have segments of the source code for Android, proprietary source code. There were reports that like government stuff was being fed through GPT. Like people think that it's just local, but it's not. It's literally on someone else's computer. So yeah, I'm a little, peeved about that. And I can't wait for the days where maybe I'll be able to contribute to software that we can run things that are typically run on a server locally. I'm such a big proponent of open source software. I bow my head to all of you in open source software. I'm doing my part. Every PCB I design, for example, it's just available for you. You can go and use it and modify it, whatever. But yeah, if I was good at software, I'll tell you, I would have, I would contribute to, KiCad and FreeCAD, and I would probably be, trying to make a video editor similar to Premiere Pro, because again, the fees are absolutely insane. And I don't need the latest update all the time. I just want one stable release, and it can stay the same forever for all I care. I would just like to pay one price for that. So anyways, enough with the rant. Same as usual. Thank you everyone for listening. I'm going to get this edited up and uploaded. However, I would like for you to ask me some questions I will answer in the next podcast. So if you made it this far, head down to the comment section, or send me an email or whatever. Ask me anything and I will answer to the best of my abilities on the next episode. But don't forget to also answer the questions I asked during the podcast, like, what are you looking for Black Friday? Which 3D printer would you recommend I purchase? Because I am tempted, very tempted. And yeah, I hope to catch you guys in the next one. Thank you everyone for listening. See you next time.